This is the brand new Lumix S9, a tiny but mighty full-frame compact camera that is way more capable than its size suggests. It is Lumix's first venture into the full-frame compact world, and there is a lot to like. With a new sleek design, weighing just 403 grams, 4 different colours to choose from, a 24 megapixel sensor, the improved real-time LUT feature along with the new Lumix Lab app, and a couple of brand new features, there is a lot to be excited by. If you're familiar with the Lumix S9 II, it has a lot in common and shares a lot of the same features, so I'm going to cover everything in this video to help you decide if the Lumix S9 is for you, because I'll be honest, I don't think it's for everyone. However, I do think it will capture a lot of attention and be the perfect camera for a lot of people. I've been playing with this camera for about a week now, and I was lucky enough to be invited out to Osaka in Japan for the Lumix Global Summit and for the launch of the S9. But they haven't asked me to make this video or told me what to say at all, so all of these thoughts in this video are entirely my own. So this video is going to be a bit of an overview, but I'm going to have loads of videos coming on the Lumix S9 all about setup and comparing it to the S9 II and the S9 IIX, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on those. Design wise, I think the S9 looks great. It's super compact and it feels great in the hand. Even though it is small, it's comfortable to use, and I think it's got a bit of a Leica Q3 look about it, especially from the front with its curved edges. It looks really sleek. It's a lot of fun to use because of that as well, because it just makes you want to pick it up and use it, and that for me is one of the most important aspects of a camera, because if you don't want to pick it up, the chances are you're not going to want to go out and use it. But for me, this camera is perfect for just having on a strap and putting around your neck so that you can go out and do some street photography with a nice little compact setup, or just having something on you all of the time to be able to go out and capture memories while you are out and about. And that is where the Lumix S9 becomes even more interesting. Lumix are really pushing the real-time LUT feature on this camera, which we first saw in the Lumix S9 II, but they've taken it a step further. And it means that you can give your photos and video a creative look directly in the camera and take away a step of editing, making the whole process of creation much quicker and easier. It is effectively Lumix's answer to Fujifilm's recipes, and you can choose from other creators' LUTs or create your own, import them onto the camera so you can get that look baked directly into the file. You can store up to 39 of these looks on the camera as well and scroll through them with the dedicated LUT button on the back of the camera. But what Lumix have done, which is really nice on top of the previous version of this feature, is that you can now increase or decrease the opacity of those LUTs to dial it back if it was maybe a little bit too strong. And you now also have the ability to stack 2 different LUTs on top of each other to be able to have full creative freedom to go out and create the exact image that you want directly in camera. When it comes to video, the S9 shares a lot of features with the S9 II, with the same phase detect autofocus system and the same video record formats, being able to record 6K up to 30 frames a second in open gate with 420 10-bit color and 4K up to 50 frames a second with 422 10-bit color. There is still a crop in 4K 50 like with the S9 II as well. It still has the same IBIS system as well and E-stabilization as the S9 II, which is miles ahead of any other stabilization system out there. You also get the full Vlog picture profile as well, which is brilliant if you like to color grade your footage, but also all of the same video assist features as well that you get on the S9 II, which is pretty nuts because like with the S9 II, you don't get a lot of those features on higher end cameras, and this is a tiny little compact camera. You even get shutter angle on this, and you don't on Sony A7 IV, A7S III. They have also introduced a brand new video record format called MP4 Lite, which records in 3.9K open gate and allows you to transfer that footage straight to your phone to share it wherever you want pretty much instantly, and you can record with those same LUTs that you've imported into your camera and bake it directly into the footage. The new Lumix Lab app is where you can transfer, edit and share your photos and video directly from the camera. When I was away in Japan, I was walking around the streets taking photos and playing with the different LUTs in this camera, and then transferring them to my phone and sharing them on Instagram within like a minute. It is really impressive. So if you are looking for a camera that you can just carry with you all of the time and share great looking images quickly and easily without having to edit them, this is pretty much perfect for that, especially when you pair it with some nice small lenses. More on this later. At the moment, you can't control the camera from the Lumix Lab app. It is purely just for transferring files. The idea is that over time, the Lumix Lab will replace the Lumix Sync app. I assume as well, with this being the case, that the Lumix Lab over time eventually will be designed to work with other Lumix cameras like the S5 II, S5 IIX. Although I'm not 100% sure about that, don't take my word for it, that's just a guess. I'd like that to be the case, but I'm not sure. Crop zoom and hybrid zoom are two new features added specifically to the Lumix S9, and they are genuinely really useful. Crop zoom is nothing new. We've seen that on mirrorless cameras before, like the Sony a7S III with clear view zoom, clear image zoom. Not sure what it's called. And it's a nice little feature to have, especially if you are using a prime lens, because you can just get that little bit of extra reach. Hybrid zoom though is so clever, and I'm not sure how this works at all, but if you were using a zoom lens, you can pop on hybrid zoom, and say you were using the Lumix 28 to 200mm, you can then effectively turn that same lens into a 28 to 600mm lens. And it does it in real time, so you can see the focal length on screen as you are zooming in. It is super clever and completely bonkers when you first use it. Now obviously you are potentially going to lose a little bit of image quality when you are using these zoom modes because they are digital, but they are nice features to have if you need them. As well as the S9 itself, there are also two new lenses on the way, one of them being the 26mm f8 pancake lens. Now I have very mixed feelings about this. I really want to like it because I think it looks great and it is the perfect size. You can get some really nice shots with it as well. However, there is no autofocus, it is completely manual and it is completely locked off at f8, so there's no aperture control at all. Now there is the old saying f8 and be there, which is true because at f8 you do have a fairly deep depth of field, which means that most things are going to be in focus. So it's not a bad thing, and I did really enjoy using it for street photography around Osaka, but I do wish it was just a little bit bigger and included at least autofocus. Because if you are new to mirrorless cameras, I probably wouldn't recommend this lens unfortunately, because you do have to work for your shots a little bit more, but I want to like it. There will also be a brand new compact 18 to 40mm lens on the way later this year, and I think when this lens finally arrives and we get to use it, the Lumix S9 will start to make a bit more sense, because this camera is designed for compact lenses like that. It's still great when you use it with all of the other L-mount lenses, however some of them are a bit big for a body of this size, so I'd love to see some more compact lenses on the way from Lumix. A little bit like the Sigma I series primes, which I think would pretty much be the perfect lenses for this camera at the moment. There are a few things about this camera that do hold it back just a little bit, and this is what I mean when I say that this camera isn't for everyone. For example, there are some drawbacks when you are using it in video with some pretty heavy record limits. 15 minutes in 4K and 10 minutes in 6K. Now that's not very long at all. So if you are someone that does record for a long time, maybe you're recording interviews or podcasts, you're probably going to want to look at the S5 II instead of the S9. That being said though, if you're a vlogger or you just want something to document with or to travel with that records high quality video, the S9 might be perfect for you and you have nothing to worry about. It does take a little bit of getting used to as well, and I think that is mainly down to muscle memory and this being a compact camera, because it just means that you've got to go through the menus a little bit more because there are less buttons on the camera, for example. I really miss the joystick as well because I used that a lot on the S5 II for moving the autofocus points around, but on this you've just got to get used to using the touchscreen. So again, it's not a big issue, it's just a change of how you get around and function the camera. One thing to be aware of is that S9 only has an electronic shutter, which is great for if you are doing things like street photography, because as with the size of it, it means you are even more discreet while you are out and about shooting, because you're shooting pretty much silently. In fact, you can shoot entirely silently if you want to. But it does mean that you are potentially opening yourself up to getting banding in your images sometimes, especially if you are shooting inside or around LED lighting. And that can be slightly limiting sometimes. And it's not the end of the world, because there are ways around it with changing your shutter speeds and using things like synchro scan, but that's not always an ideal solution. So it's just something to be aware of when you are using this camera. So who is the S9 for? I think personally, if you are looking at buying your first full frame mirrorless camera, upgrading from your phone, or potentially an APS-C camera and wanting to take things more seriously, I don't think you can go wrong with this at all. Its capabilities are incredible, being able to shoot in Vlog, all of its video assist features, IBIS, the improved real-time LUT to help improve your workflow. This is incredible for stuff like that. So if you are looking for something that you can carry around with you in a nice compact size, stick it over your shoulder and have you with you at all times. If you are looking at using it professionally though, for either photo or video, I would recommend spending a little bit extra and getting the S5 II or the S5 IIX over the S9, because this isn't really designed for that. It's not for professional use in that sense. It's designed for that middle ground. On the whole though, I really do think that this camera has a place, because there is a lot to like about it. It is incredibly powerful, and I think a lot of people will find it very useful. I think for me personally, this is going to be the perfect point and shoot street photography camera, and the camera that I just pick up on a day-to-day basis to take out with me and have with me at all times. I'll have loads more videos coming on the S9 very soon, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on those, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In the meantime, go and check out this video next, and I'll see you there.